Good day to you. I'm Debbie Davis. This is Mind Your Own Business TV, and we have a great show for you today. We have another candidate running for governor, and it is John Jenkins.
Thank you very much. It's an
How
honor
you
to be
doing?
here. Pleasure to be here. Thank you
Now,
for this
John,
opportunity.
you are a write-in,
That's correct.
independent
Yes, ma'am.
gubernatorial candidate.
That is correct.
But you have an interesting background. Let's go over that, shall we?
Oh, gee.
You've been mayor of Auburn and Lewiston.
That's correct.
More than once, right?
That is correct.
For each?
That's correct. I got lucky.
Are you a teacher
Teacher, yes, ma'am.
at Lincoln Academy?
I have been a teacher at Lincoln Academy, but also I travel around the state doing training and leadership programs in schools from Fort Kent to Kittery, Bethel, Bath, and all the schools in between. So for more than 40 years, I've been crisscrossing the state of Maine, inspiring tomorrow's leaders.
There is not a lot of people, there are not a lot of people out there going around teaching children about leadership.
Where is it going to come from if we don't start training them early to understand who they are, where they are, and a sense of valuing the place in which they are? And that's why some students and young people leave, because they don't even know what they got. And if we start teaching them early the value of who they are and where they are, and a sense of place, and the Maine's phenomenal history, oh my gosh, I just did a program at a rural Western Maine school, Dirigo High School, in fact, and it's on our website, it's on our Facebook page as well, and the testimonial letter and the comments from the students. But there was a small little town, and I went there, and the students were obviously saying, well, we're a small town, and nothing happens here, and kind of, feeling down about the future. After that talk, a standing ovation twice, and the sharing of the stories that these students had, and their vision just changed in terms of their sense of place. And they said, we didn't know that about this very place we've taken for granted. I said, unfortunately, you may wake up too late if you don't wake up now. And so I'm really inspiring these young people to understand you're in a very unique place, this place called Maine. And so I've been doing that for more than 40 years. I'm so blessed that Maine has adopted me as a son to the Maine family, so to speak. But that's my passion, that's my purpose, that's why I'm here, and that's why I've been so fortunate to have loved public service. It's the toughest job I've ever had, and so being in public service has been my passion, and I think I've done it very well.
So why are you running for governor?
Leadership matters. When you are the spokesperson for the state or spokesperson for any group of people, whether it be a municipality or a region, your leadership matters. And so your voice carries a ripple effect in terms of what it portrays and foretells for your community. And so I realized that very early on as mayor of Lewiston, where people would say negative things about Lewiston. And the first thing I did, and you can see it in my inaugural address, when you have you recite the pledge, and I promised to obey the laws, etc., and of the city of Lewiston. I said, and I put the word great in there, and they said, whoa, that's surprising. And I've always called it the great city of Lewiston. And so people started repeating that mantra, great, and they started thinking differently. So I can't blame what people were saying about our city in the past, because we were saying the same thing about ourselves. But when we changed the language about who we are and our own history of an industrial heartbeat of this state, people start thinking, well, wait a minute now, we're not the armpit of anything. In fact, we're the brains of and the heartbeat of this great state. And so that changed the attitude of the people, which changed the image of the city as well. And so I think leadership matters. And
that is so important, because if you are a cheerleader for Maine and you're able to get that message out to all citizens, it can change the way they think. I mean, you change your mind, you're going to change your life.
Everything.
You're going to
Absolutely.
change everything.
Absolutely. There was a poor kid in Newark, New Jersey, and this certain street corner that was like my whole world, and I didn't think and imagine anything beyond that little street corner. Lucky for me, there were some adults who intervened and stepped into my life at the right time, lifted my aspirations, changed my thinking. Had great fortune to then go to a nice little school in Lewiston called Bates College, and graduate from there. And so that changed my thinking of what was possible. And I went on to win world championships in the martial arts and other things. Again, you change your thinking, you change your path. And so I'm just encouraging Maine people to change their thinking about, how bad it is. I'm saying, yeah, we have some challenges, but man, let's talk about what's working. Let's talk about the good stuff we got already.
Build off that.
Oh, absolutely. That's the only way you can build, is on what you already have, not what you don't have. And so, yes, we're going to acknowledge what we do not have, but my goodness, we're going to build and leap from what we we already are standing on, but don't even know it yet. So
Yeah.
I'm here to wake people up.
I love it. He's waking
Don't get me
up,
started.
that's
Don't
for
get me-
sure. We're talking with John Jenkins. He's a write-in independent gubernatorial candidate. So you can vote for him by writing in his name in November. Now, you also have a show on public access.
That is correct. It's called Community Wellness with John Jenkins, and I'm doing more than just dictating from on high of, well, we need to have health care, health and wellness sort of thing. I'm living and walking the talk that I'm asking everyone else to do. I'm leading the charge. When I was mayor of Auburn, as well as mayor of Lewiston, I was very much involved in the employee wellness program, which helped lower our insurance rate because we had healthier employees. And I said, well, that's $1 back in our pockets. So when you have healthy living habits and you can help your city be a healthier city and municipality, my goodness, that translates into real dollars, and that impacts, in a positive way, people's tax bill. And I'm saying I'm all about saving money wherever I can. And so I'm proactive in leading that charge, and I'll be doing that for the state of Maine as well.
That's fabulous. Okay, let's talk about a couple of issues. Now, on the ballot, we have question 1, which is very difficult to read. It is in regard to universal home care, and it is proposing a tax of 3.8% on individuals and families with a Maine adjusted gross income of $128,400. Now, I'd like to hear what you think about that question. Are you for that? Are you against that? Or what are your thoughts?
Aging in place does save money. So I'm all for any chance we can help people stay in their own homes and live a quality life and receive the services they can receive. It's better than going someplace else. So I'm all for that. Bottom line is, I'm always asking, how are you going to pay for it? Now, when you say universal, that means everyone. And I'm saying, I know some people with deep pockets, and boy, I'd have a hard time explaining that to Meme and Pepe and all those small business owners that are struggling to keep their heads above water, that we should be funding the folks who have more than enough resources to fund their own. So again, that negates it for me there. And then the next piece is basically, in my travels around this state, when we talk about that figure, I talk to people who own gas stations, people who own mom and pop stores. They fall into that category, and they say, where's this other money coming from?
Yeah, the income from the business flows through their tax returns.
Yeah, and they're saying, we don't have any cushion to fall back on. So this bill, the way it's written, it seems like you're gouging the very people we want to keep moving in a positive direction. So for those reasons, I'd say no. But now, should we do something? Yes. And I think we have some programs in place. It's about not duplicating services and getting services that already exist to be more cooperative and collaborative in how we provide those services. And again, you wind up saving those dollars. Those are the things I did when I was mayor of Lewiston, also with the city of Auburn, saying we don't need 2 of everything or triplicate of everything. I said, so let us start streamlining our dollars by building cooperation amongst the services we do have.
I like that, because many times politicians get into office and they think, here's a problem, I want to solve it, let's start a new program, without even looking to see if there is a program already out there that's doing some of it, part of it, whatever.
What I found in these more than 40 some odd years of being a wonderful, appreciative citizen of the great state of Maine is Maine people are resourceful. I mean, they're real creative folks. Whether you're a new Mainer or a person who's been here for many generations, the nature of the environment just makes you try a little harder, and it makes you dig a little deeper and get a little more creative and connecting pieces. And we have the ability to figure this out, and because we get the smartest people in the room. It ain't about me, it's about the we. And so getting the smartest people in the room, which are already here, and they understand what it will take, and just getting the walls to break down between these fiefdoms, because we break into everybody's separate little program, and I got to protect my little program. I'm saying that's going to end. I said, there is no my program. In fact, what I said when I was elected mayor back in the day, one of the first meetings I had with the staff, I said, look, we're going to come to budget season, and everyone who's a department head talks about my budget, my trucks, my people, my. And I said, well, put the brakes on. None of this belongs to you. Okay, it all belongs to our boss, the people. Even the very desk I sit behind, it has a little label that says mayor. I don't own that chair. I'm a steward of the public stuff. They're working as hard as they can to keep their heads above water, and they asked us to work on their behalf to protect their stuff. And so I have a fiduciary obligation, we all do, to protect our boss's stuff. And basically, and I got to give them a report of how well we're doing. And so when you say my budget, none of this is yours. And so we're going to budget with truth in the budget, not padding things in, because if everybody comes with little markup, a little extra, well, that changes your budget numbers. I've seen that dance, and I said, no, tell us what you need. We'll figure it out, make sure this is what you need, and if you need more, come back, because if that's a service we really need to invest in, like new roads, then we're going to go back and do it, because we all going to benefit from it. But you don't have to arbitrarily start adding in extra cushion, so to speak, just in case. So this is all the people's money, and so this money is better being put back in their pockets, not in ours. So let's not forget who we work for. Don't get me started.
That is John Jenkins talking right there, a man who's clearly is showing that he understands the system in Augusta. Now, you've also been a Maine State Senator.
Yes, ma'am.
This is why you understand.
I understand. I've seen this movie before. Not my first rodeo. And that's why you work with the legislature. One of the things I'll be doing, people often ask, well, when you become, let's say you should become governor of the state of Maine, what are the first things you're going to do? I said, well, first thing I'm going to do is meet with our staff, because we have phenomenal people that make this state work. And so they need to know they got a friend in the legislature and in the governor's office that actually going to back them up. Now, also they need to understand, like my employees in the municipality, we don't need two of everything. And so wherever we can start, duplicating, and not duplicating services, but cooperating and getting departments to meld and provide efficiencies. Because again, my goal is to keep costs accurate and at a minimum, not so much the minimum saying we're going to start cutting things short. No, we want to offer quality services at an affordable price.
Yes.
And so we look at the pocketbooks of the people we're serving. They're not deep. Vastly, they're not deep. There are a few pockets that are deep, but my point is those are very few people that have those kinds of pockets.
But when you start talking like that, you're going to get some pushback. Because when let's face it, when governments get together,
yes,
like you said, they're surrounding the wagons. This is mine. You're not doing everything I'm doing. I'm doing this. You're doing just a little bit different, but that's you, that's me. Now, when you want to combine services so you don't have duplication, that's when I think you're going to find pushback. So how are you going to handle that?
Oh, that's okay. And again, I said, I'm not squeamish, and it's not my, you don't get in office in Lewiston and having thin skin and not having some battle scars.
So you're ready for it?
Gee, like I said, if you have good office in Lewiston Harmon, you're more than ready for it. You are chomping at the bit. So I've been world champion in different martial arts, and you didn't get there because...
there you go.
Well,
who's going to mess with him?
No, it's not that. I mean, I know how to run fast too, get away from him. But the point is, again, I'm not saying that I'm beating my chest or anything. That's the beauty of democracy. I look forward to the repartee, the back and forth. I mean, that's exciting to me. I don't avoid that. I'm saying this is good because you're fighting from your position. I'm fighting as hard as I can from my position. I don't fight to win. I fight to find a deeper truth that we can agree upon. I said, so I'm not trying to win at your expense of losing, but I'm saying keep pushing your best ideas, because if I can have an aha moment and something you'll say, I'm saying, oh my gosh, I didn't know that before. And therefore, I'm willing to say, look, I'm going to own up and say, I didn't know that, and I'm going to adjust, because if that makes sense to me, I'm going to adjust, and that's called negotiation. I know that's a negative word, but I'm going to negotiate because it's not about the me, it's about the we. And so I know that you have a certain perspective and skills and understanding that I may not have in a perspective, but I'm going to fight as hard as I can from my perspective until I see an aha moment where I'm saying, oh, you just said something I didn't know, and I'm going to adjust my understanding because now it's just been expanded. So that's why you have debate. That's why you have discussion. That's why sometimes you have disagreement. And I often teach in my seminars, can you disagree without becoming disagreeable? Can you assert without becoming aggressive? Can you contend without being contentious? Can you abstain without becoming obstinate?
That's hard nowadays.
That's why it's called training. Oh, of course it is. It's an art to leadership. And I'm saying I've well been trained in this art of leadership. That's why I'm running for governor, because leadership matters.
That's wonderful. All right, so you gave us one or two issues. Give me the another thing that you'll do when you first get into office?
I'll be meeting with all elected officials as well on a municipal level because that's where the rubber hits the road. That's my background. And I'm saying I know what the towns and the other municipality folks are dealing with when their budget cycles come around. And but the things we hate the most is when the legislature hasn't made its final decision, but we've already passed our little budgets.
Right.
And then we got to back up and say, oh, man, Pepe, that, that little tax break we offered, well, we got to, it puts us in an awkward spot. So I'm going to actually work with those local leaders to make sure that the solutions that we're coming in with as a partner from the state, again, we're not here to rule over, but we're a partnership to make sure that they're getting what they need and encourage them to do what we did in Lewiston, Auburn, build regional collaborations. Matter of fact, one of the things I'm most proud of is when I was mayor as well as when I was state senator, we passed what's called the Regional Service Center Initiative. And Governor King Angus King was governor at the time, and he was, obviously celebrating that around the state of Maine, saying that's what the future of Maine is going to be based on. The success of Maine's future is how communities work together in a collaborative fashion. And so I'd be leading that initiative statewide to make sure that, in fact, we are getting our dollars spread further so that the big cities are not getting the lion's share, so to speak, and the small little towns, which are so many of them, are dwindling on the vine. I said, no, there has to be a regional ripple effect because we don't have endless state dollars. So how do we get our state dollars to go further? Because I have no interest in trying to jack up people's prices and taxes because that's coming out of my pocket. I'm a working class guy. Mm-hmm. And I said there are a lot of people who would like to have that kind of relief, knowing that there's a plan in place that makes sense and it is based on working with your neighbor. So I keep it simple, and that's what we've already proven in Lewiston, Auburn. And also when I was a state senator, we passed that piece of legislation called Regional Service Center Initiative, and I'm not bragging, but it's all out there on the record. And the Maine State Planning Office, in its annual report that during that year, right in the foreword, it said, we want to thank John Jenkins when he was mayor of Lewiston. I had 5 different meetings. I was just mayor of Lewiston at the time, but people from all over the state came from these regional service centers. And I said, look, we have 3 things in common that we should be working towards because we're regional service centers. 3 things we must agree to focus on. 1, we all need similar things. I need to buy sewer pipe, your city needs your town, et cetera. So why don't we agree to buy in bulk, big savings? Why don't we agree to buy direct, big savings? And preferably we buy in Maine, so we put other Maine people back to work. We wind up saving ourselves. Just those 3 things would make a huge impact on our local budgets and stretching our dollars, that limited dollars, further. And they all said, wow, that makes sense. And so again, it wasn't about me, but we all talked about that, and that's what was the basis of that whole Regional Service Center initiative, and I'd be bringing that back to its fullness as governor. So,
could you use that same idea in regard to health care in the state?
Absolutely.
I mean, if Maine could buy health care in bulk, so to speak. I mean,
exactly. I also speak nationally as well, so I have, and internationally as well. So I have friends and connects. Well, no, I mean, through all my training, and I mean, again, I'm not saying to beat my chest, but again, I have many friends who are well placed in different industries on an international scale. But we met as athletes, competing like hard, like heck against each other. Sure. But after the match is over, you build friendships, and we've all have gotten out of the competitive martial arts ring, where we just really hammered each other pretty hard. But now we're really good friends, and they've all gone into other things, and many of those other things could be very helpful to the state of Maine. So I'm not saying I have a trove of international relationships, but for some very key ones that are very keen about seeing what might happen in this election, they're saying, my goodness, if you could become governor of the state of Maine, our resources will be available to the state of Maine. And I said, look, I would appreciate that. And again, so I think it's all about thinking outside the box, but not being afraid to go outside the box. And right. I said, I don't see a box. I'm just saying we're going to do what works for Maine. Mm-hmm. That's the bottom line. So
that's fantastic.
Yes,
that
ma'am.
Sparks a question about competition. Now, our young people today are basically being, I don't know if they're being taught, but competition is frowned upon. We want everybody to feel like they contributed. We want everybody to get a participation trophy. How do you deal with competition, for instance, when you're giving inspirational talks? Do you address it at all?
You can learn a lot from a whooping. No, I'm serious. You can learn a lot from a whooping.
You're absolutely right. Don't we learn in down times more than
I've
up
won
times?
5 international/world championships over my years, but most people don't know that was toward the end of my athletic career. Prior to that, like 987 losses. That's 987 whoopings. I know, wow.
Yeah.
I was really good at
So
it.
you learned a lot.
Well, I won't say I lost 987 times. I found 987 ways of not winning. It's all how you.
Correct.
However, I had a lot of built-in mistakes, and so I lost. Was I angry and upset? And oh yeah, but I said to myself, I won't do that again. So I eliminated that one mistake. So all I'm saying is that simply, for me, competition is fine. Bring it. And even in this race for governor, people often say, well, you're running against so-and-so. What about so-and-so? I said, I'm not running against anyone. I'm running for the people of Maine. Right. So when you're running against someone, you tend to spearhead all your arguments about tearing them down and knocking them down. I'm saying, God, this is my reference. So when I say God bless them, I'm not trying to promote any, but that's just my reference point.
Right.
And so I say God bless them, more power to them, because this is not an easy process. Should any of them be successful, I'm saying this is good. I'm used to competition. In fact, I enjoy it. It's a good thing. Bring your best, and I'll wait until you get fed and strong, because I don't want to compete against you if you're sick and they say, oh, you won, but your competitor was really.
Yeah,
I said, no, I want to win when they're at their best, and said then I know I've done something. So I love that. So, and the fact is, in government, you're not competing. You're actually working for the same boss, but your ideas may clash, and that's okay. I'm saying this is good, because that means we're coming from a different reference point. And as I said earlier, I don't fight and argue to win. I fight and argue to have a deeper understanding of something I'm not aware of, and you're going to bring that part from your argument to the table, and I'm open to listening to that, but I'm still going to fight as hard as I can from my point of view until I hear and learn something new. And that's saying that's good. That's government at its best, that we do have different opinions. We do come from different places, but we got to do it respectfully. And so I'm not interested in supporting any program that says, show up, you get a trophy, and you win automatically. I said, so where's the gumption and the chutzpah that you can only get, and the grit that you get from getting kind of dirty and knocked down a few times, and you say, oh, I won't do that again, and so you get up again. And I said, Maine people are all about getting up again. And look back in the day, which I have been in over the many years, and that's why I've been telling, that's what I told the students out there in Dirigo High School, for example. I said, not far from you is a little community, Livermore area, and they said they're familiar with it. And I said, this little place called New Orleans. And if you think you got nothing, look at it in this little family called Washburn. But and I said, I'm always say the word America, and I said, this nation, the backbone, the critical spine of this nation, most of that in significant ways were built and constructed from this little family in Livermore Falls, Maine. I said, that's what you come from. I said, the Washburn family, they went on to start railroads and gold medal flour and advisor to Lincoln. I said, so they said, we didn't know that. I'm saying, you better wake up to who you are, where you are, and you value your sense of place. You're standing on a phenomenal history here. Yes. And I said, to give even a person like me a chance. I said, back in the day when that wasn't even thought of, little Bates College was giving people like me a chance. I said, so this state is imbued with people saying, you better measure up. We'll give you a shot, but you better measure up. They gave Muhammad Ali, of all people, a chance to have a world title fight. Right in Lewiston, don't get me started, in Lewiston, Maine. So this is a state all about second chances and giving you a chance to bring your best, but you better deliver. And so the people work hard for what they got, and they expect you to do the same.
And that is what you are not taught in school. Don't respond. That's just me making my own statement. Thank you. Now, let me ask you, how do you plan, when you get into office, to fund Medicaid expansion? Because it is a law on the books now.
It's a law on the book, and I said you want to get the smartest people in the room. I'm working with hospitals. I'm working with business leaders as well. And I'm also working with everyday folks. And the bottom line is I'm hearing across the board is we have to start talking about broad-based approach, not just taking one small segment of this financial category here and say, let's gouge those folks. I said, no, that doesn't work. And so, yes, we need to look at it broad-based. And so that may mean broad-based. And if we're going to talk about broad-based taxes in some cases, we had better talk about where we can lower them on the other side and wherever we can, because, again, people are taxed enough, and they just don't want to have the hand of government going further into their pockets. And
we do in Maine feel like we just don't know how much more we can give. And yet yet it seems
very
like
little.
every politician that's running wants to institute a new program that's going to cost more money and take more money away from us.
I want to introduce sensibility, pragmatic approach of saying by necessity, the hand of government is in everyone's pocket. That's a visual I have on our website as well. You actually see a pants and you see a hand of government in everyone's pocket by necessity. My responsibility as governor, as an elected official, is to find every way possible to get the hand of government easing out of people's pocket, not going further in. And so when you add another new program, the hand's going further in. And it's taking even more of your fewer dollars that you have left over. And you have fewer dollars, guess what? You're not doing home repairs, you're not doing all the things that invest in your property, and you can't support the little league team, and all the things we call quality of life. You have fewer dollars to do that. I'm saying the more we can put more money back into people, their own money back in their pockets, it ain't rocket science, but it depends on who you work for. And matter of fact, it was Mrs. Whittingham. She's the one who got me started in this whole path of political service. Wow, she's passed on, but I can say, God bless her. She's the one who kind of shook me up, and she's Johnny Jenkins, and so but one of the things, her first thing she said to me, she says, when you get in office, because I was running for mayor at the time, she said, you better do it. I said, yes, ma'am. And so, because she's just one of those kind of people, you just said, yes, ma'am, to. And she said, but you never, ever, should you ever forget who you work for. I said, what are you talking about? She says, people get in there because they got certain partisan friends and they work for the party, but they forget the people. And that, I didn't know anything about politics or anything, and that always rung in my ears. And so I said, I've never forgotten and will never forget, for whom do I work? The people, not the party, not my partisan friends, it's the people. And the bottom line is, if it's going to be good for my pocket, it's going to be good for everybody else's pocket, because I'm a working class guy.
I like this. We're talking with John Jenkins. He is a write-in independent gubernatorial candidate. You can write his name in for governor on the November ballot, and I hope you'll all go out to vote this November. We need everybody out there. Tell me your contact information, jenkinsforgovernor.org.
It's www.jenkinsforgovernor.org. And from that website, you'll see everything. And we even have a QR code that people can hold their phone up to, and it takes you right to that website. So people have been downloading that, and I have it on my vehicle, and other people have it on their vehicles and on their lawn signs and in their homes and wherever it's visible, and everybody can have it on their phone as well.
Do you have a donate button on there?
There's a donate button on there as well. And
press the donate button, people. And
please do, and donate. And also even on my business website, which is www.peptalk.com.
Nice.
And I have that link there as well, so they can direct you over to the governor's site.
Now, is it under peptalk.com that you give these seminars?
That's correct.
Inspirational seminars?
Inspirational wellness seminars, you name it. I did a number of programs for fishermen and people who have back issues, whether it be a fisherman, a driver, or a senior citizen, a student preparing for a test. It's called Tai Chi Balance, and so that's been getting a lot of attention because it's helping a lot of people live a healthier lifestyle. And so, I'm walking the talk, not just preaching about it. I do the work, and I'm leading by example, not by edict.
Yeah, and that's what we want. Now, there's a GoFundMe campaign that we should know about to help donate to these inspirational seminars for schools that have limited budgets. And
that's correct. It's called Inspired to Be Great, and many schools have been, from Fort Kent to Kittery, Bethel, Bath, and these schools, they're limited budgets, but they say, my goodness, like I said, the one I did for Dirigo High School, when their students, they just leap out of their seats. That's 2 standing ovations, and the heartfelt stories, I won't share the details of, but the heartfelt stories that they were sharing afterwards, it's just, I got all verklempt, and I'm just saying, these kids, they don't have to say anything to me. They're used to doing this, but for them to start looking up and saying, oh my gosh, and one student, she said, she's a junior, and she said, and the testimonial letter, that's on the website as well, but the names have been deleted. But she said, this, for the first time in a very long time, now this young lady's a junior, for the first time in a very long time, I felt something I've not felt. And she said, that's hope. And I'm saying, there's so many of our young people are walking around, I won't say like zombies, but their hearts are broken. They feel dismayed and they feel disappointed, and they look at the squabbling and the lack of direction and leadership. And I'm saying, you need not duplicate what you're witnessing.
Oh,
You
those are
need to
great
make.
words.
Oh, don't get me started. I'm fine, but I'm on them. But I'm on them.
Preach
Say,
it.
I said, but you gotta. I said, but you have to be the one that steps up because yes, you're gonna get criticized. You ain't gonna talk about your mama. They're gonna be all about you and then try to tear you down. But I'm saying, guess what? Never forget who you are and where you are and from what you've come from because that's what's going to make you stand to weather that storm of criticism and doubt because it's going to happen. I'm not going to say it's going to be sugarcoated. That's why you don't give a trophy to everybody because then they get lulled into thinking, well, I showed up. Where's my trophy? I'm saying,
Exactly.
you got to sweat, my friend. You got to
Yes.
you got to go through it to get to it. And
Yep.
so don't get me started. Anyway, so I'm saying, yeah, so, but it's worth it. And so that's what's going to gird your strength to go through the difficulties in your personal relationship, in your business, in our communities, in the times where things get difficult. I said, you got to know how to be resilient and to bounce back. So that you can, yes, but if you don't know how and been lulled into, well, the government's going to take care of you, you're going to get a rude awakening.
Isn't it
Oh,
a
absolutely,
disservice
absolutely.
to your human development?
And don't get me,
Well,
and it's a disservice when we as elected officials, we give, I used to say it, so I'm going to
Go right
own
ahead.
it. I used to say, well, we want economic development. We want to attract businesses from the outside and to come to our state. And we couple that with, we have a brain drain. Well, I'm saying, when you say brain drain, you're saying all the smart people are left and only the dumb ones are left. No, I'm just saying, no, hang on now. That's what it's really implying. I'm saying,
You're
whoa,
right.
what a backhanded statement. What do they feel like? What do we chop liver? We chose not to leave? And wait, we got some smart people still here, number one.
Yeah.
Number two, most of them don't leave. They're still here. And then the other piece, and when you attract someone out trying to get other people's businesses to come here, again, that's a backhanded slap to your own people saying people are away, are successful, and they're smart. And therefore, we got to get them to come here to save us. I'm saying, no. If you just wake up to recognize who's already here, I'm borrowing from Booker T. Washington back in the day from Tuskegee,
Yep.
where he was speaking at a national convention of investors, and he said these words, cast down your buckets where you are. Now, these are the people who just got out of slavery. And he says, here you are talking about international investment and economic development, and you're overlooking the very people who've already proven their value to you. They were slaves, and they're not going to leave. And so shouldn't we be spending our money into building up their abilities to work and be self-sustaining? Cast down your buckets where you are, and you'll be fully rewarded. And so I'm saying, if we cast down our buckets where we are, investing Maine people with Maine ideas, number one, Meme and Pepe still live here. They're not going to leave. Their kids are in school. They're not going to leave. Quality of life is better than anywhere else on the planet. They're not going to leave. And if they can make a better dollar than an average, they're still not going to leave. And so they can have a quality of life here in the state of Maine. I'm saying you got brilliant people here, but we're overlooking them, looking elsewhere. I'm saying you got the answer right in front of you if you just pay attention to who you are. I keep repeating that theme.
I love
Who
it.
you are, where you are, and value your sense of place. I've been doing this for more than 40 years. I'm living my truth, and I'm firing these kids up, and they're expecting this to be delivered. And I'm saying, kids, you better go and tell mom and dad. But again, I don't make it a political thing because it's strictly my work with the fundraising for Inspire to Be Great is strictly all about developing tomorrow's leaders. That's what it's all about strictly. I don't mention politics and nothing ever, the two never twain shall never meet and the two
Right.
never cross. So I strictly am there and I never say anything about anything else. But these kids leave fired up saying, oh my gosh, and they start rethinking their sense of place. They say, I never thought about that in my own community. I'm saying, pay attention, it's right in front of you. And so they keep looking, well, I gotta go here and go there to be successful. No, you don't, you can stay right here. But you need to know that you got a state of Maine that's gonna have your back behind your ideas, which brings me to the last point, which is
Right ahead.
basically, I will be helping, a lot of folks are struggling with credit. And so I'll be developing a program that's tied into other programs out there, get them to work together, but make sure that we're helping people build their credit through everyday things, such as if you're paying your rent on time, you have a steady job, those sort of things, doing everyday things, but make it such that it actually counts toward building your credit, then that makes you own property worthy, if you will,
Sure.
then now move up to be worthy so banks can look at you. So we would want to start building up the average person doing everyday things, make it credit worthy, and then start building and give them skills on money management and also entrepreneurship. And you'll be amazed. I'm amazed at how many people I've met who have brilliant ideas, but bad credit, and they're under the gun, and they have low funding, and they have low self-esteem. And
So
they
this is for adults.
Not only adults, but also this is what I've been teaching in schools as well, because I teach a work readiness program, and that's what I've been teaching our students of how to be ready. I said, when you hit that threshold, when you say commencement, they say, oh, it's over behind me. I'm saying, no, commencement means to begin. I said, it's going to get real fast. And so I said, that's when you're going to realize you're not going to get a trophy because you crossed that threshold. And the people on the other side of that threshold won't be so as patient as these people who are in your schools now. You fall on your face, they're going to pick you up and straighten you out and dust you off and get you going again. Once you cross that threshold, they won't be so patient. They're expecting you to deliver. Mm-hmm. And I'm giving you tools that mom and dad want you to have, but you had better have if you want to survive when you cross that threshold. I want my kids, meaning all of our kids, to be survivors. And they're going to make their headway. And they have brilliant ideas, but if they don't have the tools, we've ill-equipped them for the war ahead. And I'm saying, don't send them out there with just a stick and everybody else is heavily armed. I said, they need to understand the reality of what they're dealing with. And so I'm waking these kids up, and that's why these kids give a standing ovation, not because they're asked to. They do it out of their own volition because they just woke up. And I said, that's what makes me cry after my seminars, because I'm saying, my gosh, they get it and they're so ready. And so it's not just adults, it's the next level of adults. And so Maine's future is brighter than ever. But you got to make me governor. You got to make me governor.
We got to make him governor, folks. That's it. Right in.
So
Jenkins.
And they can also invest and support the Inspire to Be Great program. That's for every school, especially for those schools who have limited budgets but have high hopes and dreams for their children.
Now, so we just go to GoFundMe.com and put in Inspire to Be Great?
Yes, ma'am, and it's right there. Everything's right there. That's right. And so we're trying to raise roughly $30,000 in that ballpark if we possibly can. Mm-hmm. But that money is earmarked directly for building those programs in the schools. And already schools are lining up saying, when you get the dollars, please, come in and deliver the programs to us. And we're giving them posters and all these other things. It's all about, and we'll have the budgetary the breakdown of the budget will be online as well, so people see where those dollars went. So it won't be like, okay, he's got the money, where did it go? I'm saying, no, you'll see what school got the program and what was delivered, et cetera. All the deliverables will be all online as well. Mm-hmm. So it's not just the money was given, but we have no idea. And I said, no, you'll see the results. And it's going to be televised too. There'll be pieces that the students will be leading that will be televised. They need to have a voice. They have a voice that needs to be heard.
That's amazing.
I am fired up. I know who I'm working for. I'm ready. I am so ready.
John Jenkins, write him in as the independent gubernatorial candidate on, November
6th.
November 6th.
Or no, then there's also early voting. This is going on right now, so
early
you're not
voting,
waiting until then.
Early voting, go get your ballot, write
Yep.
him in, put it in, then you'll be all done.
That's the plan.
That's fantastic. Well, good luck to you.
I appreciate this opportunity. And this helps get the word out. And again, it's just something that people will have to decide if leadership does matter. And so I'm not just singing a song about what we wish things could be. I'm telling you, this is where we are right now, and we do have an opiate issue, we do have a homeless issue, we do have a hunger issue, and we do have access to healthcare issue. However, at the same time, we have a lot of things and resources to draw from, but we don't even know it. And so I said these issues can be addressed, but we can't get to the high, Sierra down the road if we're not addressing these issues up front. Right. And so we will be addressing those issues collectively, not saying it's my plan, no, it's going to be our plan, but we have to address those issues, which I've been doing already.
Well, I'm hoping that if we can change the mindset of the people of Maine, again, and remind them, like you say, of their place, of where you come from, and get them inspired that way, that will somehow help the opioid issue. Look, I'm sorry if that doesn't make any sense to you guys out there. I believe that the way you think really dictates how you act in life and the choices that you make. And if you're not thinking at a high level of where you are, who you are, and what you can be or what you are, then you're more apt to look and turn to things like drugs, alcohol, other things like that. So with you at the helm, I think that we would be inspired as a people.
But more than inspired, it happened already for 2 cities. And like I said, Auburn, I had made history when my second term I didn't run. They wrote me in anyway. And we got more votes as a write-in than all the other candidates combined. Again, it had less to do with me and more with the people waking up saying, this guy gets it. And look how much better our city is because of his leadership. And he walks the talk. He said he's going to do X, Y, Z. He met and exceeded our expectations. So so people around the state of Maine have been noticing, they said, wait a minute, people in Auburn are no different than the rest of Maine. Why can't we write you in? I'm saying, well, they knew me in Lewis and Auburn. I said, you just got to help get the word out. And if nothing else, again, it's your choice. It's truly in the hands of the people. But also to that point, what you were saying, changing your thinking. I often say in my seminars is what you think about, you bring about. What you think about, you bring about. If you think about having a headache, think about having a headache. Before the day is over, you're going to have a headache.
Yeah.
I kept losing all those matches because I thought like a loser. It wasn't until I changed my thinking, back to your point, then my circumstances changed, my training changed, and my performance changed. So did I get bigger, stronger, faster? No. My thinking changed, which made me go from losing all those matches to starting to win. And so I didn't get a trophy at no point until I started earning it and winning it. And so that's Maine people are used to that. They're used to earning their way. And they just want to know that what they've earned, they can keep. That's all they want to do is just give us a fair deal.
Exactly.
And if it's going to cost, make sure it's fair across the board, not just gouge a special segment of the population. And I'm saying I'm all about that as well. So I'm walking the talk. We did it in Lewis and Auburn, and so people don't have to listen to promises down the road. They can just look back and see what has occurred in Lewis and Auburn, literally. And they said, things were percolating at a very high level of cooperation between those cities when I was mayor of both cities. And no one's ever mayor of both of those cities because they're always warring against each other. But again, they both said, hey, this guy gets it. And we, the people, we put this person in office. Now we'll be making some phenomenal national history when Maine wakes up and says, my goodness, the lowest spending campaign ever in the history of the world. And this guy, the people put this person in. No spin, there's no intermediaries. We, the people, put this person in there. And he has an obligation to us, not to anyone else, not to any party, not to any special interest group, and no partisan factor. So I'm saying leadership does matter. And I'm just asking people, if nothing else, please consider me. And that's all I can ask. And if I've earned your support, please tell everybody else. But me giving you a song and dance of promises, you have no guarantee I'm going to deliver on that. But I'm saying, don't take my word for it. Look at what I've done, because the best predictor of future behavior is past behavior. And see what I have done. No fancy promises, but these are actual. I was in the trenches and doing the work, and it shows I have the skill, and it's already been done. It's been proven. And so people around the state of Maine saying, well, we need that for our state. I'm saying, I agree.
I love it. You want cooperation in Augusta? I think we should write in John Jenkins for independent gubernatorial candidate. I hope you guys agree. But if anything, just get out and vote. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time on Mind Your Own Business TV.